Hi guys! In one of my previous videos I mentioned that I'd like to have a combination oven aboard the boat, and I've managed to find one that was tiny enough to fit under the 2-burner gas stove in the galley. This thing is tiny. It's got a capacity of 20 liters and it will be my only oven aboard the boat. But you know what? For the past week I've been cooking all of my meals back at the house using this little oven, and that was perfectly fine. I mentioned that this thing is a combination oven. That means that you can cook either using convection heat, which would be a normal oven, or you can use it as a microwave oven. And that's very handy because I don't really have room aboard the boat for one of each. Enough yammering on. Behind all of this junk is the area where I want to put the stove, so let's get all of this junk out of the way. Now that all the junk is out of the way, let's just give the hull in there a quick scrub because it's really nasty in there. It's still far from clean in there, but we'll probably make a bit of a mess when we put up the shelves, so that's fine. I've just lined up the laser. I want to make sure that the measurements I took in that previous video were correct. Of course, the specifications of the oven states that it's supposed to fit in there, but let's just make absolutely sure before we start building a shelf. There's going to be plenty of room in there. I've traced the outline of the laser onto the hull and onto the plywood using a Sharpie. Of course I've done that because I know I want to reuse this hole right here. I only want to expand it slightly so that the oven will fit in there. But let's go ahead and remove this piece. Let's figure out how much bigger we need to make this hole in order to fit the oven in there. I'm just going to draw directly on this piece because I'm going to bring it home with me anyway to give it another coat of paint. Hopefully this won't be like trying to fit a square peg through a round hole. Now that I've enlarged the hole, let's figure out how to support the shelf that we're going to put in there. Oh, and I know this cable needs to be tied down. No need to comment about that. This cutout is far from perfect, but it's good enough for what I'm doing. Now we've got the supports for the shelf, but the lines we drew in there on the plywood earlier today using the laser, we can't really just line these up with those because those are at the exact same level as the bottom of the hole on the front bit here, if that makes sense. So we need to lower those lines, and in my case I'm going to lower them 12 millimeters because that's the thickness of my plywood. Because things are a little bit crammed in here, I've just cut out a 12 millimeter piece of this oak here just to make lining everything up a little bit easier. I've just been digging through this bag which contains all of my reclaimed stainless steel screws from when I did the refit, and I found 4 of these guys which are actually perfect for what I'm doing here. So yeah, very environmental friendly. Now that the supports for the shelf are in place, let's see if we can figure out the size of the shelf. And a while ago I picked up this little guy, so let's take him for a spin. This little guy measures distance using laser. 56 centimeters and 3 millimeters. 56 centimeters and 6 millimeters. Oh, those two aren't parallel, but hey, it's the inside of a locker, so, well, we don't really care, do we? But before we start cutting anything, we better just check this guy, because apparently he's only accurate to plus minus 3 millimeters. Well, I got the same result, so I guess this guy is okay. Or we're both equally bad, of course. This is a test fit of the shelf. As you can probably see, it's protruding a little bit out into the main cabin, and that's by design, because we want to curve the very bottom of the shelf so that it matches the curvature of the hull. Of course, curving this shelf is no way required, it's just because it's fun to do. Normally I'd just use my compass to trace the outline of the hull onto the shelf, but I thought I'd try something different today, just because, like I mentioned, it's fun. And there we have it, the shelf is in place. And well, I've just noticed something. This dang piece of plywood has a curve in it. Look at that, it's proud about 3 millimeters of this edge right here. Now it's perfect, now it's not. Now it's perfect, now it's not. Ta-da! Well, if you ask me, that looks pretty awesome. Of course, I'll need to secure the oven to the boat, otherwise it will just fall out as soon as we heel over, and we don't want that. But that'll be part 2 of the video. The next step will be for me to bring the pieces back to the house and start painting them, but I won't bore you with that. So yeah, I guess that's it for this video, guys. See you! Jökull and I hope you've enjoyed this video. To be notified about new content, please click subscribe. If you're new to the channel, I suggest you check out the introduction playlist. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and feel free to leave a comment.